Hi everyone, welcome to or back to my channel. I'm Sally and this is my channel Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I love to talk all about sewing and making clothes. Thank you for joining me today and I hope you're all doing really well. So welcome to a bumper sewing makes video. It's been quite a while since I've shared a makes video, but not only that, I have been sewing like a mad woman recently to try and finish up all of the fabrics that I had left in my stash. So I had mentioned recently that I really wanted to work my way through my quite small, to be honest, stash of fabrics, but I wanted to get those fabrics sewn up before going on to order new patterns and new fabrics for some things that I want to make this summertime coming up. And it was really funny. I really enjoyed doing this. I actually got quite addicted in the end to trying to use up everything in my stash. It really helped me to get on with some things that I'd been putting off. It made me try some new patterns, and it also helped me to get some jobs done around the house that I really wanted to do as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you today. So this could potentially be quite a long video, so if you haven't already, do go and grab yourself a cup of tea or maybe a snack or something like that. I will try not to waffle too much, but I do have quite a few makes to get through, so you might want a drink or something while you're watching. So let's get straight into it then, and first of all I will share what I'm wearing today. These are in no particular order, I'm just going to go through them as I fancy really. So I had this pink bamboo jersey in my stash for quite some time. Yeah, I brought this jersey because I was on a bit of a t-shirt journey, as you'll know if you've been following me. I really wanted to find a fabric that I really enjoyed wearing as a t-shirt. I don't particularly get on with cotton jerseys. Sometimes I feel as though they're a bit too structured. So I really wanted to give a more drapey jersey a go. So I brought about 1.5 meters, I think, of this pink jersey, and then decided that I wasn't too keen on the pink. I felt a bit as though it was a bit sort of bubblegummy and I wasn't quite sure if it was me. Anyway, I still couldn't decide right until the last minute what to do with this jersey. I'd ummed and ahed about whether to make some pyjamas, whether to try some like jersey slinky sort of Hudson pants or something for my daughter. In the end, inspiration just suddenly struck me and I thought, why don't I give the Jessie t-shirt a go by True Bias? I've recently tried this pattern and I absolutely loved it. So I've made so far a black and a white version. Anyway, I have been wanting to try the cropped version of the Jessie tee for a while now. The two versions that I have made have been full length. So I thought, why don't I use this jersey to just give it a go? That was a very long-winded explanation of what I decided to do with this jersey, I'm sorry. And I actually had so much fabric that I thought I would cut out one for me and one for my daughter, so both from the cropped length. One I cut out as it was, with the full length sleeves to the cropped length, and then one I just didn't quite have enough fabric to cut the full length of the short sleeves. So I ended up cutting the sleeves slightly shorter. So my daughter is 12 at the moment and she's really into cropped t-shirts. They are everywhere on the teenage high street at the moment. Everything is cropped and everything is short. So I thought she would probably enjoy a cropped oversized t-shirt as well. So I'm actually wearing the version with the shorter sleeves. Mine are just cut slightly shorter, which I actually think I prefer on me as well. Yeah, I love the Jessie t-shirt. I love the neckline on it. It just sits really nicely on me. I don't like anything too high and I don't like anything really low either. So this one I think is perfect. And I found so far that the neckband's always gone in really nicely when I've been making it as well. So what I will say about the cropped length is it is quite short. So I'll just stand up and show you where it falls. So it just meets the waistband of my trousers and it is quite boxy and quite oversized, and it actually hangs really nicely. So the waistband of my trousers is here. I have got a little sort of nude vest on under this. So if I'm honest, I think next time I make this t-shirt I'm actually going to add a little bit of length to it. And the reason for that is that I had to turn up the tiniest of hems on this just to keep it at the length I wanted. So as it is, I actually like the hem at this length, but I think next time I will add a little bit just so that I can have a bigger hem, and I think that will help it to hang a little bit better. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think this length, it goes really nicely with high-waisted trousers. So today I'm wearing a pair of Tyra trousers by Plow & Patterns, just a nice, easy, summery pair of trousers. And this is a really nice, comfy, floaty look. And I have to say, this bamboo jersey is so soft and comfy to wear. And my daughter even said that as well. I made her try on the t-shirt that I'd made for her, and she didn't want to take it off. She said, oh, it feels so nice. I think with this cut of t-shirt, it maybe would suit a more stable jersey, something to give it more of a boxy shape. The only thing I find sometimes with a bamboo jersey is that it does want to hang strangely sometimes, so you end up with creases all down your front. You can probably see as I'm sitting here talking to you that my t-shirt will sort of crease in funny places. That's the only thing I would say about the bamboo jersey. It is quite drapey, but it's so lovely and soft to wear. So the next thing I managed to get cleared from my stash was a Montana dress by Style Arc. So I have talked about this pattern a lot, and this was one of the patterns that I said I might do as a sew along because it was in my list of patterns that I've not yet sewn. I was planning to record this as a bit of a sewing video, but in the end, well, I'll explain more about the make in a minute, but I was a little bit worried that it wasn't going to be my best sewing work, so I decided not to film it this time, but I may do at a later date if you're interested. So the Montana midi dress by Style Arc is a really nice, simple style summer dress. It has a really simple lined bodice with slightly grown on sleeves, and then just a simple midi length gathered skirt, and you can make it from woven or knit fabric. It's a really lovely dress. It's taken me over 2 years again to get around to making this pattern, so I'm really pleased that I've given it a go now. So here is my version. As always, I will put in some photos while I'm talking so that you can see the full length of the dress and everything. So I had this viscose jersey, which I did actually buy to make the Montana dress. It says you can make it from a woven or a jersey fabric. I do actually think that a viscose jersey is probably not necessarily the best fabric to make this dress from. So what you can do with the Montana dress is you can either fully line the bodice or you can just bind the armholes and the neckline. I really wanted to line this dress. I didn't really fancy binding the jersey neckband or the jersey armholes, so I wanted to have a go at lining it. But when I came to cut my fabric, I didn't quite have enough fabric to fully line the bodice. So what I've done instead is just partially lined the bodice. So I basically cut the lining piece to as long as I could, which just comes to underneath the armholes. Don't know if you're going to be able to see that. If you were fully lining it, obviously it would come right down to the waistline. So this is actually a really simple dress to sew. I know people have questions about Style Arc patterns and their instructions, and what I would say is the instructions for this are pretty vague. There are a few written drawings in there to show you where to sew, but I think if you are a complete beginner, you would maybe struggle with the instructions alone. But what is good now is I think Style Arc are trying to add some instructional videos to their website. So I did get a bit stumped with the lining and exactly how to do that properly. But there is a video showing the full method on their website, so I was able to just pop over and have a look at that, and that was really helpful actually. So you put the fully lined bodice together first, and then you literally just sew the skirt together and gather it into the bodice. So yeah, super simple, super easy. I'm really pleased with this actually, but I would say it's not my most neat sewing. So the bodice of this dress is slightly curved at the bottom on the front and back, and I hadn't really considered that when I was attaching my skirt. So I don't know if you can see, if I hang it like this, when I'm wearing it, the stripes are slightly off where the bodice joins the skirt. It's not a massive thing, but once I'd noticed it, I couldn't unsee it. And then at the back as well, can you see that I've got this stripe here and it kind of cuts off? So it's not particularly neat. But I think as a sewer, sometimes if you see these things, like I say, you can't really unsee it then. I feel as though maybe it's a little bit obvious. But anyway, in terms of how the pattern has turned out, I really, really like the style of this dress. The fit is really good as well. I ended up making a size 4. I went on the finished garment measurements. Obviously, this is quite an oversized dress and it is quite drapey. I didn't want it to be too big on me, so I did decide to downsize. And actually it's worked out really nicely. I really like the fit of it. I love the length. I didn't alter the length at all actually. Didn't add any length and didn't take any away, and it's a really nice midi length on me. So I'm so pleased to have finally given this pattern a go, and if you do want me to do a sew along on this dress, then let me know and I'll maybe do that in the future. The other thing I didn't mention actually is that there are some pockets that you can include in the side seams. I didn't do that in this dress because one, I didn't have enough fabric, but actually I wasn't going to include them anyway because I thought it would probably just pull the dress down a little bit. So yeah, so pleased to have given that a go. Love this dress, love the pattern. I will definitely be making it again. I think next time I will probably use a woven fabric. I think it would look really lovely in like a big gingham print, maybe like a yellow gingham or something, or even like a white broderie anglaise. I'm going to call this a wearable twirl that I'll probably just wear at home or around the house, and definitely not if I'm going anywhere too public. So let's move on to this one then. I made another super simple Ogden cami. This was from the fabric that I picked up from John Lewis a little while ago. They had this, I think it's a polyestery crepe actually. It was really cheap in the sale, about £3 a metre. So I just picked up 1 metre. So this top cost me about £3, which is always good, isn't it? But I love to wear Ogden camis, as you know. I wear them underneath cardigans and shirts and all sorts. And I just felt as though I could have done with like another plain one. So you may remember that I had talked about experimenting with adding lace around the neckline. Well, I did actually have a go at that, and I'll pop in a picture of how it turned out. It wasn't the best experiment, let's say. So I picked up some of this ivory lace, which matched really well to this fabric from Hobbycraft. And I just literally top stitched a bit on once I'd finished the top. It was really hard to get it to meet into the straps, and I wasn't quite sure how I could do that. I was trying to work out in my head how I could maybe sort of sew it into the seam so that when I turned it through, the lace would be here. So in the end, I decided to just top stitch a bit of lace on. And it looked okay, but when I came to try the top on, the lace was so scratchy against my skin that I just couldn't stand it, and I didn't want that lace on there. I think the lace was probably pretty cheap and I probably needed to get a better quality lace. So it's still something I'm going to think about having a go and experimenting with. This has worked really well. This fabric is pretty see-through, so I did double line it. So when I double line the Ogden camis, I don't use the facing piece. I just use 2 lots of the main body piece and just cut the inner lining layer an inch shorter so that you can just see the see-through bit of the main body. And I think that looks really nice. The only thing I don't like too much about this particular version is that because it's so see-through, if it is held up to the light, you might be able to see on the camera, you can just see the seam allowance on the inside and where I've snipped it. I don't think you can actually see that when you're wearing it because obviously your body is underneath it. The light isn't shining through like that, but it does sort of irritate me a little bit that I can see that. But yeah, this one is really useful. I've already worn it a few times underneath my grey Whitmore cardigan, and I think that works really nicely. And actually, even though this fabric was cheap and it is a bit polyestery, it actually hangs really nicely. Oh, and I've just French seamed everything as well inside, and I love doing that with Ogden camis. I just think it gives them a really lovely neat finish inside. A bit of a pain to do, a little bit more work, but it is worth it in the end. Next, I will quickly share my linen set because you may have already seen this. If you have watched my recent videos, because I do have a sew along video of me making these. I absolutely love this linen set. I love how it turned out. So I made a basic summer set using the sapphire trousers by tilling the buttons. I made them culotte length so they're a little bit shorter than the pattern. And then I made a little cropped shift top using the Ashton top by Helen's Closet. So this is the cropped version of that top. It's a super simple shift top. It has a nice boxy facing inside, bust darts, and then a faced hem as well. I really love this top actually. It hangs so nicely. I love the faced finish and I think it's really flattering. I love the neckline on it as well. It just comes to the right place on my neck so it doesn't feel too high or too low. And I love that the straps cover your bra as well, so you haven't got that problem. And yeah, I'm so pleased with how that turned out. I think it worked really nicely. So if you haven't already seen that video, then I will link the making video of that set down below. This was another pair of sapphires that I sewed quite some time ago now, actually. So I had a navy pair of sapphires, actually the pair that started off my obsession with the sapphire trousers that I made 2 or 3 years ago, and I'd worn them literally to death. They were falling apart, the fabric had got faded and bobbly, and the waistband was all coming loose and everything. So I decided last summer that it was time for them to go and I needed to replace them for this summer. So I really wanted a navy pair because I feel like navy just goes with everything. This fabric was actually a viscose that I picked up from Hobbycraft. Our local Hobbycraft is so good at the moment for fabric. They have a really wide range of fabric. I popped in there the other day, not for fabric, but I was just amazed at how much they had, and I'm going to go back in there actually now that I'm allowed to buy fabric and just have a look at what they've got. They had some really good denims as well and some really nice viscoses. Anyway, these are just a super simple pair of sapphires. I love the sapphires for wearing with t-shirts like what I've got on, or vests or Ogden camis or anything like that. I just think they're really easy to wear in the summertime, and they keep you cool and floaty, and you feel as though you're reasonably put together as well. So when I was working through my stash, I realised that I had about 1 metre of this left. And I actually managed to squeeze out another Ashton top from this same fabric. So similar to my linen set, I've actually got now a matching set in this navy fabric too. It's a really nice floaty matching set to wear in the summer. And of course, even though they are matching sets, you can mix and match. And I probably can wear the linen trousers with this and then the floral sapphires with my linen top. So I can mix and match them like that as well. I always find making little shift tops like this quite nostalgic actually. I feel as though everyone starts their sewing journey making little shift tops like this. So with this one, because it was sewn from a viscose, I ended up interfacing the facing pieces on the inside and outside and on the hem as well, because I really wanted it to hang quite boxily and to keep its shape, because I want it to sort of hang like this, I guess, over my trousers. So I'm not always the biggest fan of interfacing, and I tend to leave it out wherever I can normally because I don't really like the structured feel of it. But I thought for this top, because the fabric was quite floaty, it would have been quite difficult to get the facings to do their job without the interfacing. But I'm really pleased how that turned out, and I think this little set will look really nice together for summertime. Next I have another pair of trousers. I seem to have made these so long ago now. I can't remember when I did make them, but it was quite a while ago now. It was when we were just coming into summer. This coral fabric I've had for ages as well. It was one of those kind of impulse buys, and then when I bought it again I thought, I'm not really sure about that colour on me. So I decided to go for a pair of trousers because I thought then the colour wouldn't be directly against my face. So it's a coral background, and then the flowers are very pale yellow with a black vine to them. So the pattern that I've used to make these is the Tyra trousers by Plum Pattern, which is actually the same as the pair of trousers that I'm wearing today. So this is the Tyra trousers pattern. I'll pop in the line drawings as well. So they are quite similar to the sapphires in a way, but the main difference with these is that they do have the pockets that go into the waistband. I do think the legs are slightly wider than the sapphires as well, so they're meant to be like plazo style trousers. So you can make these as culottes or you can make them as plazo pants. I went for the plazo pants option with this one. With this pattern in the past, I have made the waistband flat fronted because I do think sometimes that is a little bit more flattering. But with these ones, I don't know if I forgot or I just didn't bother to do it. I can't actually remember, but they are fully elasticated at the waist. What I tend to do is just fiddle around with the elastic a little bit to get most of the elastic or the bunching at the back of the trousers so that the waistband is a little bit more flat at the front. So that is just another really simple pair of summer trousers that I'm looking forward to just having in my wardrobe. I love to wear things like this just day to day really, so if I'm working at home or just around the house or whatever, I feel a little bit more dressed up than if I was just in a pair of leggings or a pair of jogging bottoms. And you feel just as comfortable. They're totally secret pyjamas, these trousers, and the sapphires as well. That's why I love them so much. And they look really pretty just worn with like a vest or a t-shirt or an Ogden cami or something like that. Next I have another make for my daughter. I ended up making Lily a pair of shorts using the sapphire trousers pattern. So I'm always a little bit put off of making her things at the moment because I feel as though she's she's not little, but she's not adult either. So sometimes it's difficult to get the pattern and sizing of things right. So obviously with the sapphire trousers, they are elasticated. So they're very easy to fit. All I needed to do really to make them fit her was just have a little bit more elastic or a little bit less elastic in the back and a little bit more bunching, which I actually think works really well as a pair of shorts. I've been meaning to try the sapphires as a pair of shorts for ages now, and I've never got around to it. We had this fabric in my stash, which I had bought for her actually. I was going to make a play suit out of it last year and just never got around to it. So I thought I would give a pair of shorts a go. It was so funny making these because obviously I had to kind of guess the length of the shorts. I think I was cutting them on a day that she wasn't here. So I ended up adding length to where I thought the shorts would come from crotch length, if you know what I mean. And I ended up adding so much length that when I'd sewed them up, I made her try them on so that I could see where to hem them. And they were so long, they came down to her knees, and she was really laughing at them because they just looked so funny. So she actually made me cut 6 inches off of the length that these were. And I thought that was quite funny. So these are just a really cute floaty pair of shorts. And I think because I've used less elastic than I would for me and just bunched it all in, they've made the legs kind of flare out a bit more and they look really pretty on her. She's got a nice little cropped black ribbed vest. I'll try and get her to model these actually so I can get a photo. They look really nice worn with that, so I can see again many more pairs of these being made for the summer. And best of all, I sewed these in under an hour. They're so quick and easy to sew up. Lastly, I thought I would quickly share my newest Anthea blouse by Anna Allen. So this one I do have a sew along for. I won't talk too much about this one, but I will link the video down below. I am so pleased with this one. I really love it and I love the fabric so much. It's just worked so nicely. This one is still awaiting a top button. It does have a button, sorry, it doesn't have a buttonhole. Kind of annoys me in a way that it doesn't have the buttonhole because when it's on the hanger it just wants to flop open like that, and I do sometimes wish when I'm wearing it that it did button right up to the top. So I'm going to have to do something about that buttonhole. Maybe I'll have to learn how to make one by hand or something. But that was another thing that I've been making recently. I do love the Anthea pattern. There's some really nice, really delicate details in the pattern. So it's just really satisfying to sew. So I thought I would just quickly share that one if you haven't already seen it. And then before I move on to a knitting make, I just wanted to share that within my stash sewing, I actually got a job done that I've been meaning to do again for over a year, and that was to sew my kitchen blind. So when we had our kitchen done about 2 years ago now, coming into this summer, I said I was never going to make any more fabric blinds. It's not my favourite sewing job to do, and I was going to buy blinds, or at the time we were actually going to buy shutters. But then 2 years later, we just hadn't done anything about buying a blind or getting shutters or anything like that. And I was getting really fed up of not having a blind. So last year, I thought I would make myself one. And I actually, one day when I was in Dunelms, which is a homeware shop near us, came across this fabric tablecloth. And the fabric in it is really lovely. It's like a tick-in stripe kind of thing, and it feels as though it's like a cotton or a linen-y blend. And it was in their bargain bin because it was supposed to have a little fabric bag that came with it, and the bag was missing, so it was in their sale, and I think this was about £25, and the tablecloth was absolutely huge. So this is what I've got left from it. I've actually made a kitchen blind out of this. And I even, out of this tablecloth, managed to get, I don't know if you can see behind me, we've got a bench for this dining table. And I managed to recover that bench cushion in this same fabric. And I still have this much left, so I can use this for some cushions or something at a later date. It's a really good way of buying fabric. If you ever do want to make blinds, I generally always look at duvet covers, because obviously a double or a king size duvet set, you just get so much fabric in it, and then for the lining or the backing you can buy that separately. For my kitchen blind, I didn't end up lining it at all because I still wanted some light to come into the kitchen. It's not generally a blind that we always close, it's just really for decoration. I roughly know how to make Roman blinds, but I always get a bit stumped with the calculations. So I actually followed a tutorial from Terry's Fabrics, and if you ever want to make a Roman blind, then I highly recommend their website. I'll link the tutorial that I followed down below. So I'm really, really glad that that job is done, because it had been hanging over me for ages, and it looks so nice in the kitchen now, and the kitchen just looks finally finished. I think that was the last thing we needed to do to make it finished, so it only took me 2 years. Not too bad, is it? So finally, I have a knitting make to share. I have been knitting, as you may know, this cardigan. This is a Rowan brushed fleece pattern. I will pop the image in here so that you can see it. This was on my list of things to make for autumn and winter, I think. I really wanted like a big, cozy, oversized cardigan. So this is how this turned out. It's from shade Crag in Rowan brushed fleece, I think. And this was such a very quick and easy knit. If you are a beginner and you're looking for something very easy to knit, then I would highly recommend this pattern. The back and two fronts are just rectangles that are sewn together, and then obviously the sleeve just has a little bit of shaping to make it a bit wider at the top. But overall, very simple pattern, and because it's in such a chunky yarn, it just knit up so quickly. The fronts are so narrow because obviously this ribbing is quite wide, so the fronts I literally knit up in like a couple of evenings. And I'm so pleased with how this turned out. It's exactly what I wanted really, just a really cozy cardigan to pop over whatever you're wearing if you're feeling a bit chilly, like the weather we've been having at the moment. One minute it's sunny and warm, and the next minute it'll be freezing cold. And I've actually worn this cardigan a few times recently when I've been wearing something like what I'm wearing today, and I've just popped it on over the top and it's really cozy. It does come up quite long, so I actually took 10 centimetres off of what the length was supposed to be. If I'd have added the 10 centimetres on, it really would have been like a dress on me, I think. I think I stopped at the right time. It was quite difficult to tell because it's all knit flat, this one, so you can't try it on as you go or anything. So I was kind of holding it up against me to see what the length was like, and it was curling up at the bottom and everything. But yeah, a really, really lovely pattern. I do love that Rowan brushed fleece book. There's some really simple patterns in there. Before I go, I will just show you what I'm now currently knitting. I'm actually knitting my third Whitmore cardigan. So you may remember that I shared this yarn. I think I bought it, no, I did buy it from the Knitting and Stitching show in October just gone. And I did share that I was going to make the Whitmore sweater from this. So this is like a cotton DK knit, and it's got some silk in it as well, I think. So it's a really lovely cottony brushed sort of yarn. It's really, really nice to knit with. So I was going to start the Whitmore sweater, but then in my head I just couldn't see this kind of wool as a sweater. It was working much better as a cardigan in my head. And I did have a look around to see if there were any other cardigans I wanted to knit in this, but all I could see in my head was this knit up as a Whitmore cardigan. So I decided to just go for it and make another one. After all, I love this pattern. I know how to knit it now. I'm used to knitting the lace, and I thought, why not? So this is where I'm at with it at the moment. I've done the whole of the yoke, and I'm now just knitting down on the stocking stitch section of the body, and I'm going to do the cropped length again. I actually find the crop length to be not too cropped. It comes down to sort of mid-hip, whereas my first version I did the full length and it's really quite long, so I prefer the crop length on me. So that's what it's looking like so far. I'm really enjoying knitting this actually. I think the Whitmore cardigan is just the perfect balance for me in terms of the difficult lace, and then you've got the relief of the stocking stitch at the end. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm glad to be on the stocking stitch now because I can just sit and do that in the evenings, and hopefully it won't take me too much longer. So I think that's everything. I think you are up to date with everything that I've been sewing and making recently. I'm so pleased to have finished my stash. I literally have no fabric now. Well, that's a lie. I do have one fabric, and that is that pink crinkly fabric that I wasn't quite sure what to do with. That is the only thing left in those baskets, apart from a little bit of upholstery fabric, which I'm not going to include. So yeah, I'm going to look forward to some fabric shopping now. I'm really excited to get on with my summer sewing plans that I shared recently. I can finally allow myself to buy those patterns and have a good old look around for some fabrics. So I'm really hoping to share a fabric haul video with you soon. Thanks so much for joining me again today, everyone. I hope today's video wasn't too disjointed and waffly. I feel a little bit as though it was a bit all over the place. I don't know why, but when I'm filming these videos, sometimes I do feel a little bit like that. And then when I edit it, it all kind of comes together. So I hope it was okay. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I've just passed 15,000 subscribers on here, which is so exciting. Thank you so much for all of your support. And if you do watch my videos regularly, but you haven't subscribed yet, please can I urge you to do so. It really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps my videos to get shown to more people, all that kind of stuff. And if you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a like as well. Thanks everyone, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Bye.